You also touched upon FPIs are covered in the report itself. Is there anything that will make them come back into the Indian market?
The potential for further FPI selling is now limited. Focusing too much on trying to time the bottom, it is better to be positioned in the right sectors. So now possibly private sector banks over PSUs and NBFC in the near term, and as rate cycle possibly come to an end, banks can do better than NBFCs.
Yeah.
We have not been as negative as what the street has been on IT. Even metals, we are taking some money off the table. We believe it's a tactical play and which has already played out to a large extent. We believe it makes sense to now increase allocation to domestic sector.
Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us at the Big Review. And today I have with me Mr. Varun Lohchab, Chief Research Officer at HDFC Securities. Thank you for joining us. Before we jump into the big review, I want to address the elephant in the room, which most people want to know, is India is currently trading below the long-term average, right, below 20. Are we bottoming out, or is there more correction to be done? And how will that impact earnings?
Okay, I think you have asked $1 million question. I wish I knew the answer, but see, if you put all the pieces together, in terms of earnings and valuations, as you said.
Yeah.
See, earnings, we expect that because of these recent geopolitical events, we'll have a 4 to 5% kind of a hit to our earnings estimate, which was there for the broader coverage stocks, which means earlier we were expecting close to 15% earning growth for our coverage universe. Now it would be probably close to 10%.
Okay.
But even with that earning growth, now valuations stand at around 17 times 1 year forward. And historically we have seen that markets tend to bottom at around 16, 17 times trailing earnings, because for looking at really the trough levels of valuation, one should look at trailing earnings, because forward earning estimates have been all over the place in the past whenever big GFC happened or COVID happened. But so looking at that on a trailing earning basis, we see we are more or less in that zone, but there could be possibly another 5 to 10% correction if things don't go well, in the next 6 to 9 months. But we are in the buying zone after a long period of time, probably first time in last 3-4 years that we have been we have come to these valuations post COVID, something close to trough valuation. So from that perspective, we believe it's a good time to start accumulating equities.
Great. And now let's jump to the topic at hand. What is the big review and what does it cover for our investors?
See, basically, it's like just putting, structure to all of these thoughts, and in terms of people keep talking about earnings, which sectors are going to drive the earnings, which sectors are looking attractive, where are markets headed, whether FPI flows will come back. So basically, big review covers all of these points backed by data and historical analysis of what makes us have this view that we are now in the buying zone. Earnings will not falter beyond a point. It's not that earnings are going to fall 20% on a YOY basis. And which sectors, we have again shown that in every market there is a sector there are sectors which tend to do well unless you have a very, very sharp correction in the market. In most of the other times, even in markets which are not doing so well, there are always sectors which are outperforming.
Correct.
So instead of focusing too much on trying to time the bottom and whether you are investing right at the bottom, it is better to be positioned in the right sectors so that you tend to benefit from those sectors doing well over 12 to 18 months.
And can you touch upon these sectors? Which sectors have you covered in the report that are something that people should look out for?
Yeah. So see, the good thing is after this round of correction, a lot of sectors now are looking reasonable to us from a medium-term investment. One, financials, which has been one of our top picks for last 2 years as a sector, both banks and NBFCs. We still continue to like it. We were more tilted towards PSU banks and NBFCs till 6 months back, but now even private sector banks after again a long period of time have become quite attractive. in terms of valuation. So now possibly private sector banks, over PSUs and NBFC in the near term, and as rate cycle, has possibly come to an end,
Yeah.
banks should do, banks can do better than NBFCs. So, so some of the banking sector names are looking at attractive. Our non-consensus call for us has been IT. We have been,
Yeah.
we have not been as negative as what the street has been on IT. And
Even
IT
with the rise of AI.
yeah, we believe, these companies will evolve and they will tweak their business models and they will have a role to play in AI adoption by enterprises. So in fact, we in our February model portfolio rejig, we did increase the weight to IT and we are no longer underweight on IT. We are neutral, and if it corrects further on AI fears, we would be very happy to go overweight. IT valuations have corrected a lot. Industrials, cap goods, we continue to like. That has been a theme which we have been positive on for quite some time, and we continue to be overweight that space. Then again, another non-consensus sort of a buy is real estate after this recent correction. Is again looking attractive to us on valuation basis. We believe people have again overplayed the fear that because of IT slowdown, real estate
It would also slow.
would also slow down. So I think these are some of the pockets. Pockets where we are not so positive is possibly oil and gas, where we are underweight. Even metals, we are taking some money off the table. We believe it's a tactical play, and which has already played out to a large extent. Even pharma, compared to consensus, we are less bullish. We believe it makes sense to now increase allocation to domestic sectors. And within the
Interesting.
export sectors, IT looks more attractive to us than pharma after a long period of time. So I think that's the, these are the things which we have covered in the big review.
So since you've spoken about oil and gas and we've not been bullish on it, is this a good time for India to switch to renewables, because our dependencies was on LPG and that crisis has hit hard in India? Is it a good time to switch to renewables plus EV sector?
So I think it's always a good time to kind of, it was always a good time in last 5 years, 10 years to improve our energy security, because if you see last 15 years, whenever, crude has gone up or energy prices have gone up, we have been hit disproportionately compared to other countries because of lack of, energy security and import dependence. Now, as we say, every crisis presents an opportunity. Now, I think one thing which we need to work on as a country is to make sure that we, increase the adoption of renewables, be it solar, wind, and we have enough of, solar energy sort of potential as a country, and even transition to EV, we need to kind of, turbocharge that. So, hopefully there will be more initiatives from the government side and private sector side to make sure that next 5 to 10 years we reduce our dependence on imports, and so this could potentially be a opportunity in these spaces once this thing settles down.
You also touched upon FPIs are covered in the report itself. Is there anything that will make them come back into the Indian market?
Yeah, see, when we are talking to FPIs now, again after a long period of time, we are sensing after this round of correction in Feb March, we are sensing better FII interest. At the same time, what kept them away was multiple factors, and we believe, I think they were sensible enough because earning growth in India was not as strong in the last 12, 18 months as it used to be. So there was an earnings slowdown which was staring at us. Then, the currency, most of the drivers were weak, and, currency depreciation happened, which, would have hit their returns had they invested aggressively 12, 18 months back. And valuations, all said and done, we were quite expensive relative to other emerging markets. Now, the good thing is a lot of these negatives seem to have played out, already. So other emerging markets have done very well. So relative premium of India is back to historical averages of 15-20%. uh, which makes FII now slightly less bearish on India. The reason why they may not come back immediately is that some of the other emerging markets are offering better growth
Yeah.
right now. Be it Korea, Taiwan because of AI,
Correct.
or Brazil, Russia because of the commodities and oil doing well. So I think CY26, at least this year, when we looked at earning growth of other emerging markets, India was right towards the bottom of the of that rank, which doesn't happen often, but I think this year is going to be that way. So maybe near term we may not see big FPI inflows, but now it's been 10 years of zero net FPI inflows roughly in India, which is a big thing. So therefore, we believe the potential for further FPI selling is now limited in FY27. We may not see another big selling year like we had in FY25 and 26. But will they come back in a big way? I think that is dependent more on how other markets do. If AI trade unravels globally, then India would be a beneficiary.
Correct.
And there will be money flowing in. So, but incrementally, FY27 will be better from a FPI perspective compared to FY25 and 26. That is what our house view is.
All right. Now I'll talk about crude oil. Now, hopefully the war ends soon and crude prices come back to $90 a barrel. How do you think, how do you look at inflation and consumption behavior once that happens?
So see, I think up to $90, $100 range, we don't see a big sort of a issue because if you see historically in the past, India has lived with $100 crude multiple times, and this time, if you recall, the last time when crude prices went down from 90 to 60, 70 levels, India never passed on, the benefit at the retail fuel level, and therefore, this time even in the up move, we believe government is going to absorb the increase, and not everything will be passed on to consumer. So even as we see some uptick in pass through of higher oil prices to retail, the impact on inflation would be lower than compared to some of the earlier crude oil cycles, which means as of now we are still not expecting inflation to go above 5%. Which is a fairly manageable level. Again, the good part was that the starting point of inflation is very low. We had touched 0%, few months back, and from there we'll go to 5%. So I think 5-6% sort of a inflation will not hurt consumer sentiment or demand to that extent. So I think $100 oil is okay, even if it stays for next 3-6 months. The issue is if oil goes to 150, then we have, some serious problem in terms of, passing it on, and then the consumer sort of a second order impact in terms of, the demand destruction. But $90-$100 crude is now, sort of priced into the markets as well, and we don't see a big impact on consumption.
All right. Now the domestic investors have been countering the foreign investors in terms of SIPs and all of that. Now, what if there's a trend that comes in where people start pausing their SIPs or removing money from their SIPs? In that scenario, how much impact will it have in the Indian market?
So see, as I said, FY27, the level of FPI outflow would be lower, than FY26. In FY26, India could counter the entire FPI selling through domestic flows because there was also a fair amount of cash that mutual funds were sitting on. And therefore they could deploy it. And now that the dry gunpowder from that perspective of surplus cash sitting in mutual funds is now a lot lower. So if SIPs were to drop, and as I said, cash levels have already gone down, the firepower with domestic mutual funds will be much lower in FY27. But hopefully, as I said, FPI outflows will also not be significant enough. So the two should still balance out. But if there is a net redemption from mutual funds, then we believe market is poised for another round of correction because FPI selling or FPI will not come back in a big way in a hurry is what our view is, but their extent of selling will definitely reduce significantly in FY27.
Now coming to the last question, for all the viewers out there who would have seen this podcast, what is one message or one takeaway that you think they should have going into the financial year?
No, I think equities as an asset class, is inherently volatile, and it has been a prime example last few months what we have seen.
Yeah.
So don't get overly perturbed with that. Stay focused with your asset allocation, stay disciplined, remain patient, and I think the level at which we are now, again, equities are looking a more attractive asset class compared to some of the other asset classes, in terms of how we see the medium term return profile. So I think not much to get overly worried about. Don't read headlines and react on that.
Don't panic, basically.
Yeah, don't panic.
Got it. If you guys have any more questions, please send us in the comments below and we'll get them answered from Varun itself. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Have a successful financial year ahead.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.